The princess sleepily opens her eyes, and then she kicks Prince Charming in the groin, takes up her sword, and saves the castle herself. If he's a good Prince Charming, he will fall in line and be her ally and humble servant, always with the understanding that she is the leader, the queen, and the savior of this story. There is no saving this girl. She saves herself. Armed with her intelligent mind and beauty, she is her own savior, creator, and goddess. We can all picture the character now. She's been in almost every action movie for a decade. When she's not fighting the men with sword or karate kicks, she is slicing them up with her tongue. As she stabs them with well-aimed insults, her male counterparts are smitten, because what man does not want a contentious woman? Now, at the beginning of the story, we couldn't help but smile at the twisted trope, and yet we see what the goal is of this increasingly common anti-damsel in distress message. Women, be your own saviors. Now, our Western minds are racing ahead. We need to work hard. We need to not make excuses. We need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Yes, yes, yes. But more than a trope, a woman in literature and in life symbolizes the picture of the church. And Christ is depicted as the hero who saves the bride. He saves her, clothes her, empowers her, and then he marries her, lifting her station to a place of honor that she never earned and yet enjoys for eternity. But the humanism that is the religion of the Western world speaks the opposite. And that is why the anti-damsel in distress trope is actually an anti-truth that distorts the greatest truth, our relationship with God, in which we are the unworthy receivers and he, the greatest hero of all time, who saves us. The Humanist Manifesto first rejects deism and the need for the one true hero, and then it declares that humanity has within itself the power for its achievement. Humanity is its own savior. It must now use its intelligence and will to save itself. It's a direct inversion of the truth. The hero does not save the bride, she saves herself. The funny thing is that in the author community, they like to talk about how creative they are, inverting the hero and the heroine. And I find that really hilarious because it is so cliche now. It is just about impossible to find a movie or even a Christian book that does not have some woman fighting for her independence. But why is this trope being pushed? Because humanism is simply more clearly pictured in feminism. It is mankind saying, we neither need nor want to be the bride of Christ. By the power of our own minds and by banding together, we will save ourselves. We neither need nor want our hero and groom. Because the truth is, they hate the hero. They hate Christ. And that is the religion of our age. Now, this is also a devaluing of an eternal heritage, because the man is not just saving the woman. Within the woman, who he's obviously going to marry at the end of the story, is the future generation. He is saving his own heritage. And likewise, as Christ saves the church, he makes a new people of every tribe, people, and nation who he draws to himself for eternity. I mentioned at the very beginning of this that one of my life goals is to write a book on the effects of humanism on Western Christian motherhood. And as I started to analyze the literature around me, I was blown away at how much of it has the humanist message, not just secular books, but Christian, and not just humanist, but humanist feminism. So what is feminism? Feminism places value on the present generation, not the future generation. And I just want to explain 3 components that make up the heart of feminism in our present day propaganda. Number 1 is a refusal to submit to authority. And actually this is a hate of authority and the outward rebellion towards authority. Unless it's a woman who's attained some kind of autonomy, but then it's not submission you're looking at, it's actually a mutual respect. Number 2, a despising of the future generation by valuing your own life and dreams above their existence. And we will hear them talk about how in an abortion, the mother's life is saved, And what they're talking about there is Maslow's pyramid of self-actualization. He was called the father of humanist psychology, and self-actualization is achieving of your full potential. Betty Friedan, who wrote the 2 books that launched third wave feminism, has a chapter in how they went to Congress and their goal was to switch abortion from being a doctor issue or an ethical, is this right for a doctor to do issue, to a woman's rights issue. Are we holding women back? And so it's a despising of the future generation and despising the sacrifice of present resources and dreams. Number 3, independence is the goal. As I mentioned, third wave feminism is specifically humanism. And Betty Friedan was a signer of the second Humanist Manifesto 2. And what humanism teaches is that we as mankind will save ourselves by the power of our own minds and by banding together. And this is how we often hear the feminists talk. They will band together. They will buy from other women-owned companies, and support each other. And so it's actually, I would call it humanist feminism. So I just want to contrast that with a Christian worldview, which is submission ultimately to God, but also to lesser magistrates, unless they try to take the place of God. Number 2, sacrificing of self. And this is a pouring out not just of women's bodies and careers, but the soldier for his country, the father to protect his family. And number 3, dependence is what saves. And this is the one that most permeates our thinking as Christians, because in our do-it-yourself culture, even most Christian literature is filled with this striving for independence. And the Christian walk is not about what we do for God. The Christian walk is about what He does in us and through us. But we've grown up with it in our literature, and we've been so marinated in it that we don't even realize that this I will save myself attitude is even a bad thing. And so I want to point out a couple instances in literature. So, where is it that we look in a book to figure out what the message of the book is? We look at the 50% point, the climax, and the message of the mentor. So this is Crispin Cross of Lead, and it is common reading for junior hires. Even Classical Conversations has the 7th graders read it. And in the first half, the boy does a lot of praying and asking God what to do. And this is at our midpoint. And this is where Crispin starts to recognize the lie of dependence on God and choosing what the author believes is his need. So Crispin chooses not to pray, but rather to autonomously make the decision himself. The place that you will really see the message, though, will be the climax. The real need or truth that the author is trying to portray is always going to be what saves the character at the climax. So in Frozen 2, Elsa actually achieves a form of the humanist self-actualization. So this recognition is that she is the answer to what she's been looking for. She is enough. The song says, show yourself, step into your power, throw yourself into something new. You are the one you've been waiting for all of my life. And the final beat point is to look at the home changed. The changes they realize they are enough in themselves. And again, it's Maslow's self-actualization. Independence will save them. Crispin throws off his place as his father's son and heir to pursue just being free. And Elsa is heralded as the Disney princess who does not need a prince. She is enough.